Hi Booktube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie and I'm going to do a tag for you guys. I came across this, the small Booktuber Tag. I don't remember the channel I saw this on. But I thought since I am currently a small booktuber compared to some other people, I thought I would do it. And if you're a booktuber and you're a small booktuber and you feel free to do it, consider yourself tagged and do this tag. Okay, so just a few quick questions, not that many, and but question number 1 is introduce yourself. Well, I am Jackie, as I say in my introduction. And I live at home with my parents still. I work at a grocery store. And my main hobby is reading, but I do love watching TV and movies. And I do try to get into other stuff like doing puzzles and coloring, but I'm not as adamant about that as I do about, sorry, there's a little bug of some kind. I'm not as adamant about that as I am with reading. It's just, and I do try to run every day. We did used to have 2 dogs. Sadly, unfortunately, they have passed. I'm still kind of hoping that when my parents are ready, we'll get another dog, because not having a little furry friend is kind of hard. But, and I do have an older sister. She doesn't read as much as I do. I mean, and I feel like I always have to, because I watched a lot of videos that were people, like, tips for reading, where people say, oh, that's an excuse when you say you don't have time. But I think some people genuinely just get out of the habit and maybe they feel like they don't have time. And yes, she does watch Netflix and stuff, but she doesn't watch it that much. She's taking care of 3 little kids. So, and my mom acknowledges that she probably could be spending some time just, reading a book instead of looking, But you know what? Sometimes people work, do so much during the day that, my mom still works, and sometimes it's just easier to turn on Netflix or just read a magazine. Although she is currently reading a book right now, a book that she was inspired to read because my friend, Terry, recommended it to her, when she came to visit earlier this summer. So, she is reading that one. And she does have a shelf full of books. Like, I've recommended her a few, but it's hard for me to recommend books to her because I don't know what she'd be interested in. And the same thing with my sister, so. My dad's a little bit easier. And he does have a book. Plug here. My dad wrote a book, Shadows of Saigon, historical Vietnam story about a man who in the present day, he just had a heart attack, so he's going in for surgery, and while he's put to sleep, he recalls his past as a teenager and the dangers of being in the Vietnam War, and how after his girlfriend wrote him a Dear John letter, his girlfriend back in America wrote him a Dear John letter, he met the love of his life, a Vietnamese woman. It's a love story. It's a beautiful it's about growing up, and a young man growing up in the 60s and 70s, and that struggle of, being part of the Vietnam War and going and being a soldier, and how scary and terrifying it is, but, and how you just hope there's a light at the end of this tunnel that is the war, and just, and we also get a lot of his high school days, and his experience in high school and being a football, and then being a football player, and like that's his passion, in his younger days. It is just a really, I'm trying not to sound biased because it is my dad's book, but I just really would like people to give it, check it out if you're interested in the Vietnam War. But anyway, okay, so enough about that. Let's get back to the tag. Okay, so how long have I been on Booktube? Question number 2. Probably because I didn't join officially until we moved here. So it's been like 6 years, 5 or 6 years since I joined. I think 6. Because I started making videos in 2000. It might have been I don't know if it was 2016 or 2017. I want to say it was 2016 because I think I started making them as soon as I came here. And I remember I also checked, and because I remember before we moved here, I did talk to my mom about it, making sure she was comfortable with me doing this. So I think I started in 2016, right when we first moved here. And it's been really good. It's been there's been some few uncomfortable moments, but it's an adjustment for me to get comfortable talking in front of the camera. But since I can't actually physically see you guys, it does make it a little bit easier for me to talk in front of the camera. I wish I knew how to edit, but I need someone to help me learn how to do that. So, what types of videos do you make? Book videos, but I have talked about, like, I have a series of videos where I do Are You Afraid of the Dark summaries of some of my favorite Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes, and I recently started doing that again, like literally, like it would be it would have been yesterday as of today. And I do a lot of tag videos because it's just easy and allows me to elaborate on things and just do something different other than talking about what I read. I've tried to do reviews, although I feel like I'm not the best at reviews. I don't sound like there are certain booktubers that I think that just sound really good at are just really good and very succinct and clear and interesting when they do reviews, and just sounds really good compared to me, I know I shouldn't compare myself to other people though, and I'm not like upset, it's just, I have to admit, I do feel like there are people that do better reviews than me. What do I love about Booktube? This is question number 4. That was 3 I just did. So this is 4. What do I love about Booktube? I love how it makes it easier for me to hear about books. And I also love that it's discussions, not just talking about how, this book was great, this book was bad. It also takes a deep dive. And there are certain reviewers I just love listening to, like Tristan and the Classics, Olive from a Book Olive, Elliot Brooks, Caroline Marie Reads, and Emmy Reads. Emma, I still don't know what her channel is. I'm still not 100% sure what her channel name is. I love also the ones that, like, where, people with, like, just really fun personalities. Like, even if we don't have a lot of books in common, there's just some personalities that are really fun and entertaining. And I like people who do. I have mixed feelings about rant videos. It depends on the book. There's certain books I'm just, that the ranting I don't like, and then I just won't watch those videos. But if it's ranting about a book that I agree with them, how that is a bad book, or I just think it's funny, like, I need your rant about 50 Shades of Grey is hilarious. And I just love that deep discussion. And sometimes books that I'm not sure about my feelings, or like older books that I'm trying to get into that I don't know if I'll be able to, or I need to be able to understand it better. Like, I just watched one of his videos. There was one Booktuber, just like where he talks about a lot about classics and how to read certain classics. And he'll look over the Reddit list where, the top 100 books you should read or top, and he discusses how to read classics, and like especially the ones that the writing style is a little different and more challenging, like Ulysses. And how he says, don't give up on it. Like, there's just certain booktubers that just really take deep dives and explain things that I might not get right away. I might not understand until I listen to someone else talk about it. And also, like, I can also find information on books that the ones I'm actually interested in. Like, unfortunately, in school, you're assigned reading. Like, when I took that British literature class, there were only 2 books on there that I was interested in. The other ones I wasn't as excited about. And one of them we didn't even get to because we spent so much time on Canterbury Tales. So it's, and what Booktube does is what I do not get in that class, I can find on Booktube. And I like the atmosphere of Booktube and just the friendliness of it. I mean, there's still, of course, the ugly side to it. And, you know, I do like those videos that kind of talk about that side and talk about how messed up it is and what we can do to help to make sure that side doesn't get worse than it already is. So yeah, there's a lot of great things about Booktube, I think. You know, yeah, it has its ugly side, but on the internet, I feel like you're gonna have a lot of places that have their ugly side. Okay. Question number 5. What types of books do you read? Okay, this is a little hard, but I know the first thing I'm going to tell you is fantasy. You know, that's my number 1 genre, although I've gone through different phases of different types of fantasy books. I used to like the paranormal urban fantasy type stuff for a while, but then I've kind of moved on and I'm more into completely different worlds. I like horror books. I'm trying to get into sci-fi. Like I said, I recently finally got into nonfiction a lot more, and knock on wood that I don't jinx that by Nonfiction November. With classics, you know, it can vary depending on the story. I'm a very plot-driven reader. I'm not big on the romance. I'm picky about the romance. Trying to think of what historical. Of course, I really like historical, but again, it depends on the time periods. Like, I don't want to, you know, I feel like I've read so much about World War II that I want to read something that's not World War. I try to avoid World War II stuff. The older the history, the better. So yeah, my fantasy, historical, horror, and then, you know, I'll read almost anything classics. Okay, so the last question. This one is another hard one. What is the favorite video that I made? I like some of my Army for the Dark episodes. They're fun to do. There's some reviews, I can't think of specific ones, that I really feel like I did a really good job with them. And I feel confident in those reviews. Even though, like, I still kind of, even if I stutter and say a lot, there are some reviews I feel like I did a good job at talking about it. And if I feel like if I've been able to highlight, it's more than just, oh, this book was great because of blah, blah, blah. And, you know, if I can do more, like, really talk about it and talk about the good and the bad, like, then I think it's a pretty good review. I'm trying to think of one that are specific. I don't have a specific video. Like, there's never been one that I'm super proud of, but there's ones that I feel like I've done a good job with them. Enough of a good job. Yeah, I wish I could give you a specific one, but I also don't like rewatching my videos because I do not like hearing my own voice. I'm not very comfortable with hearing myself because I feel like I sound either monotone or nasally, or both. And it's not good, in my opinion. And then of course I still don't know how to edit out like the ums and the pauses, the long pauses. So that's the other, that's the other reason why I don't like going back. And so yeah, okay. That anyway is the small booktuber tag. If you consider yourself a small booktuber, like I said, feel free to do this tag. It's kind of a fun way to look at how your channel is doing, and get yourself to think about your channel. And I hope you like this video, and if you guys did, please give a thumbs up if you want to. Click subscribe if you haven't already and you want to. And I hope your day is going well and you're enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later.